Let's see if I can back it up just a bit. That's decent. There we go. Okay, people. So I've been working on getting intel. You can't you can't know it all. Sometimes you need a book, right? uh, Something like a book. I uh, I wanted to get something I've been looking for basically my whole life, and as it turns out, and I didn't know how things worked anyways. I didn't have a clue. What do I know? Just a dumb truck driver, right? So um, so basically, what I learned was this: the Library of Congress evidently is like three different places. I thought it was just a library. I thought, hey, you go in, they got books and every type of knowledge that they can keep up with to make it the best library they can. Well, not so much. So, and with this COVID mess, you have to have a note from your mom, a note from your doctor. You got to have a hall pass. You have to have three forms of identification. They probably have to, if you're a truck driver, you got to have your diesel fuel tested to see if there's any COVID in it, that kind of jazz. So they they got too many hoops, man. They're talking like 5 days ahead of time. You have to register, pre-register, whatever, to get in the place. And you have to, they say, for researchers. Man, am I a researcher? I don't know. I want to think so, but they might not. They might know, no, you're a truck driver. Who knows? So who knows what they're going to do. Um, but I'm definitely trying for you people, trying to get the intel so I can bring it to you. Now, I thought, I had a second thought. I was like, well, what if I could get in there tomorrow or to the other place? Or then, well, I had like 5 hours left on my clock. If you're a driver, you know what I'm talking about. You're like, well, why wouldn't you just take a 34? Well, I gained 16 tomorrow. So if I start like, I don't know, now, I can run. So I'm like, well, in 4 days, I'll get a restart or something. And since this did not pan out, I tried. I really tried, people. So I hit a brick wall. You can see a brick wall, but that's not the brick wall I hit. I hit a brick wall. If I put that up as a as a name of this video, a hater would clap. 10 other ones would be like, "What? I gotta see this. I ain't trying to cause traffic havoc." People think I hit a brick wall, but it kind of ran up into a brick wall. So figuratively, it'll happen. I'll get there. So one day from now, I'll be taking a mysterious load to, somewhere around here again and be able to go to the Library of Congress and then get the proof, the intel that I need to find, if they have it. I've got a feeling it's not quite a knowing. I hope they don't destroy it. Like if I ask ahead of time, they might. So, don't want that to happen. And just kind of want to get more time so that when I do go to look too, I'll have more time. So evidently they're open from like 8 to 4 or something like that, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. And they have 3 locations to serve you, at least 2, but a third one. And then I am a researcher, so I don't know. I will apply if I can. That's the hardest thing for a truck driver, is to be someplace in 5 days. How are you going to know? Like, I wouldn't know unless I was going to be there the day before. Then I'd take 3 days off to be there. So that's kind of impossible. I hope they just open the place back up. Seriously. Or at least make it so you don't have to have a notice of 5 days. I don't know. What do I know? So there'll be a day and I'll get the intel. So in the meantime, This is a live from the Grassy Knoll, not the one at Dealey Plaza in Texas, in Dallas, but this is a different Grassy Knoll. And since this is a Grassy Knoll chat, I'm going to, I thought about it, and so since I couldn't get what I was looking for, and I can't quite put together a video on the Kennedy thing yet, I'm going to release my playlist that I've been putting together from other people's YouTube videos that I have found that you may not have seen yet. And I want to make a few points that I was going to make if I did a live on it, on the Kennedy assassination, of things you might want to look for that you may not know. So, one is this. The original Zapruder film went to 2 different locations. It was processed. It was copied. It was processed. Then it was copied, and then it was processed again. They've already shown that, and they told him it was original, but it was already been processed. Not just processed, but some of it was cut, some of it was changed. If you look at the line right here, this line, say this was the curb. There was a woman who swears to everything holy she was standing off the curb on the road as Kennedy went by, but in the video it shows her up here, just standing there, not moving at all. Her and her friend had got closer down here. They cut the film this way. They also cut the film this way, and there's a few mini frames that are missing, and there's, so that's the first thing you need to know, is the film was altered. There's also another thing you need to know. The woman that's claiming to be the babushka lady is not. The babushka lady was standing still. This woman that worked at the opposite club, she was running. She says, even. So that's not her. And so that means if she had a camera, which at the time she claimed to have a camera that hadn't even been invented yet, it was only let out the next year. So the model of camera, she was at least wrong, but if she was running, it would have been a different film. There was another film. It was, I believe, the Babushka Lady film. And then there was another film. That one, some of it's been released. Okay. And all of these films look grainy. The true version of that film is so clear it's not even funny, but they had to make it grainy because they spliced in pieces of the car that didn't show the reflections of the people that they moved, and instead it shows reflections of cars. That's the issue, because there was no cars on this side. They took it from a different moving video where there were cars, and some people picked up on the car reflections in the side of the car, inside the limo, and they're like, where'd all these cars come from, and where'd they go when you go, how come there's well, because they spliced in a piece of another video from a different driving of the car. Also, when the car went up to going to the hospital, I think they called it Parkland, someone walked up and put a pin through a hole that was in the windshield. The Secret Service freaked out. They said, get the car out of here. They got the car out of there. So there was a hole straight through the windshield. That's another bullet. The audio, just so you know, people, proves it. There was 4 shots. There was shots in this sequence. And the last one was more like a 38 or more like a 22. It was just a very faint thing. There's a French film that has 6 to 9 shots, something like that. Theirs is from a different angle, from behind the building, it's my understanding. And so it's possible. It is possible that there were more shots and they picked up more shots. The audio from the Dictabelt recorder, that one's 4. The reason I'm saying this is there's a guy on there that says this, and he says they even knew it back then. Now, there's a guy that has a picture, or his dad took a picture, then they took it from him, and then ever since then he's been saying, hey, look, I had a picture, they took it from me, and it was of 2 people in the window of that school book depository building, and that was the window that they say that Lee Harvey Oswald was in. So 2 people up there, that's a shooter and a spotter. There's that. And they could have even been protecting the president from that level. This is a little bit odd for you to think of. It may have been a different window, which makes sense with people who have said that there was a French mercenary that was there that day, and that's how the French were involved in stuff. And he was a very famous long range, sniper. So there's that. Also, it's a little bit odd that in 3 years' time, Lee Harvey Oswald was in the military, in the Marine Corps, and in 3 years he made sergeant. Did anybody know he made the rank of sergeant? Did you know that there was other audio of him? Not just audio, but they've got video of him and pictures of him handing out his literature, but he was putting out things for the what do you call it, the Fair Shake for Cuba committee or something like this. They made, I don't know, whatever they made up, but he was part of that, and he was the secretary of that area or whatever they want to call it. So Fair Play for Cuba committee. Well, the thing is, he talked to a guy one day from Cuba and was just talking to him and telling him how he hated Castro. Then the next day, this guy catches him handing out pro-Castro literature on the street. So they get in a fight, and he goes to jail for disturbing the peace. Okay. I don't know if they both went to jail or not. Okay. The next day, I guess it was, or a couple of days later, whenever it was that he got out of jail, he's doing a radio program with this same guy. First, he does a radio program on his own. Then a day after, the same guy that he got in a fight with, they're all civil and playing nice and on a radio program talking about fair play for Cuba or not or whatever. Well, that's a bit odd. Back then, they didn't just put anybody on the radio either. Some high strangeness with that. And he said on that radio program how he attained the rank of sergeant in the Marine Corps. That in itself is odd. So, after the Marines, he had moved to Russia, rescinded his citizenship, or tried to, is what they said, by handing his passport over and trying to get citizenship in Russia, which never happened. So, but he did talk to the embassy, but then later he said he didn't talk to the embassy, then he had to admit he did. And somehow they had record of all this before that radio program. Somehow Washington let that out. No, that it was important for them to note that he had done that. So the other thing was the elevator magically did not work in the school book depository when they went to look for the shooter. But Lee Harvey Oswald was downstairs. So if there's 2 people up in that window, he either had them come down, and then when the people went up after him, he let them out of the elevator to walk right out. Or, so he was involved with it, I believe. I don't think that he was a shooter. That's just me. Because later they had to palm his prints out of the casket, is what they said. And the guy that was the embalmer was mad about the prints being on him because he had just cleaned him up and he had to do all that extra work to get that ink off of his hands. Because they needed a print. So, posthumously, Lee Harvey Oswald put his hands on the weapon that they said was used, which changed because it was a different caliber. Originally, they said it was a 7mm, and then when they measured the hole in the skull and they saw it was 6mm, I think it was, or something like that, but then they said it was 6.5. It's even smaller than what a 6.5 makes. This is my understanding of it, or it would have been bigger, So, details, right? I'm going to put this playlist up, make it public, and I'll put it in this thing here. I'll put it on a comment. Other than that, I'm going to have coffee. But I could not get into the Library of Congress for some intel, and so I'll try a different day. No worries. I'm not disheartened. I learned something. I learned there's 2 or 3 different places, and they're way apart. They're so far apart. It's like other sides, like Virginia in one place, and the other one being in Maryland. So you try, and if I live long enough, try again, you know. But there's another guy who already, from day one, they brought him the original tape, and he listened to it on high expensive audio equipment, and he told him it's 4 shots. He showed the sound wavelength, the signature of the shots, and that's what we have on our record. The French have something like 7 to 9 shots, and this is possible too, simply because of the acoustics of the building. So if they were in the building behind the Dealey Plaza school book depository building, then they would have been able to have done this. I mean, they would have been able to pick up sounds that motorcycle keyed up switch on the dicta belt recorder did not, because it was behind a motorcycle that was running with dual exhaust. Even with single exhaust, sound cancels sound. If you've ever delivered to an airport and been right behind an airplane, one engine is so tuned to the other on the left and right of the airplane. If you're directly behind it, one cancels out the other. It's the same as what's in noise canceling earphones and noise canceling equipment. They play it under helicopters to make them quiet too. They just basically double the sound, and it makes a vacuum sound. I don't know how to describe it. It surrounds you with a loss of sound, like there's no sound. So if you're behind an airplane and at a certain RPM, when they roll up their engine to get it to a higher RPM, it will, one cancels the other one out, and you'll be in a vacuum of sound, and it's almost like you would think you can't even hear yourself speak. So, and you don't hear that sound anymore for some reason, and then they rev it back up. So let's see. Hola, what's up, Icon? So Icon, I didn't plan on doing this little Grassy Knoll Kennedy Live thing. This one is not the one that I should be doing. I'll do one. I'm giving you a heads up that some of this intel that I'm gonna put up links to videos of Lee Harvey Oswald talking and being interviewed, 2 different interviews, quite a few different things. His girlfriend that he had in Mexico, along with, she says that there was another lady in Mexico that he was with, but he was trying to get information from her, and all kinds of old interviews. Let's see, I keep missing your lives. Yeah, I keep missing my lives too. I can't be in a certain, like, I tried to go to Congress and couldn't even go, the library. I couldn't go there. I'm running a lot. I'm fixing to be leaving here in a bit. I'm having coffee and chatting with you, and I'm gonna roll. I got 5 hours. I'm gonna roll them and milk them, and then they gain hours after midnight. It's gonna just seamlessly click, and then I'll be able to keep rolling, and I'll be in a whole nother place. So they happen to have freight, and I'm like, okay. I wanted a 34. Golly, do I need a 4? I need a 34 like the crops need rain, for real. In about 4 days, I'll run out of hours again, maybe 3 if I run hard, and I'll, but I'm gonna wash clothes in between. Meant to do that today. Wound up, I had a chicken salad and a nap. That happens. Sometimes things change. So I can't be in a certain place at a certain time. Like I said, I looked at that thing online. I took a picture of it. I'll put it up on community on this thing here, and it says if you want to visit the Library of Congress, you have to plan ahead, have a note from mom, have a COVID. Even if you have a vaccine, they say they don't care. They have to, whatever. Because the vaccine doesn't stop you from breathing in something and breathing it out, whatever. So, anyway. So back to the intel on the Kennedy thing. There's a whole lot of different proofs from them arresting the guys that they never released this info, but it got out, but they didn't put it in the Warren Commission report or anything like that. The hobos that they arrested, the tramps, the guy that was on the other side of the fence that had credentials of being Secret Service, but Secret Service says nope, we didn't have anybody over there. But evidently it was believable credentials. There was a whole lot more to it. I don't want to let all the other stuff out until after I get intel and can say, hey, check this out. But the stuff I'm going to give you needed this preamble. I'll call it like the preamble of the Constitution. This is my preamble. You needed a preamble to give you an idea of what you should be looking for in the footage, the stuff that I've put in a playlist from other people's YouTube videos that they've gotten that were released, interviews of people from then. So the idea is, if you could interview someone from Dealey Plaza and the day after the shooting and this kind of thing and ask them things, that would be a great way to start, right? And you're like, well, you can't do that. You kind of can. You can kind of listen to footage that they've found that they already did. It was just discounted. And all the people that smelled smoke at road level, street level, that's impossible. The smoke they saw that was behind the other side of the fence that they knew was gun smoke, that's not possible. And the sound of it, there's a special thing to it. I'll do that on the different live. There's something special to it. So yeah, there was way too many bullets in that car. There was one through the windshield. There was one that hit the upper chrome part of the car. They said it was there earlier or something, but pictures that were released of the car earlier, what it looked like earlier, show that it was not. It was the chrome piece where the convertible top meets the windshield. So there's so many outlying pieces of evidence in that anomalies that it's they've already done a second commission, by the way. They already did this, and there's been mock trials where people have actually, I think I put some of those in there too. They've put some lawyers and judges together and said, let's have another trial for this and see if it holds muster, what it looks like. And they'd have one person that was going to be the pro one shooter theory, and then the other person that was going to be for it was a conspiracy, because anytime two or more get together and do something bad, it's a conspiracy. They are conspiring. So they've made that word into something that has a bad connotation to it, but you should learn that there have been in the past conspiracies. Even Lincoln's assassination was a conspiracy. A lot of people were involved, and they tried to cover it up, and they took pages out of John Wilkes Booth's his diary and put them in the wrong, they glued it back in there, but they put it in the wrong order. And so bearing down on one, the bearing down of it comes up like 7 pages later or something, 5 pages later, whatever, and it was missing his notes from it and all this. And it wasn't even his current diary, it was the last diary. The one after this was the one that was missing. So that part's still missing. And he lived the rest of his life in the South, and he changed his last name, and he changed it, instead of John Wilkes whatever, he changed it to John whatever. So now here's the thing too, even on the radio program when they were interviewing Lee Harvey Oswald, here's the kicker. Everybody says, well, why did they call him by his middle name? Nobody else uses his middle name. They set that whole thing up. There was another Lee Oswald, and they knew of this. They set the whole thing up. He was not knowing that he was going to be set up to be shot, even though the guy wearing the white suit, I mean, and they said that Jack Ruby saw him from a window outside of the jail before he even went down, whatever, and that's why he wore the white suit. They said they didn't even think he had a white suit, that he had to buy it so he'd be seen, because he's going to be cuffed to Oswald. Hey, it's like, don't shoot me, shoot the guy next to the guy with the white suit, kind of thing. Well, and how did Ruby get past 40 officers that were all armed, right? So anyway, don't know that they were involved or anything, but it seems a bit odd. So but back to Oswald saying his name was Lee Harvey Oswald. He even said that, and they even said that on that radio interview. So they were trying to do something with that name. And I don't know, brand it, make it, I don't understand that part. But they were even calling him Lee Harvey Oswald on the radio program that he was interviewed in, and it was 2 different days. So how do you get airplay on a radio program if you're just nobody, where they interview you in their studio 2 different days, and you just got put in jail for disturbing the peace the day before, that they're going to interview somebody that does that? So that does not happen. That whole thing was set up ahead of time. So he was trying to be well known for being well known for being well known. But I'm gonna put this up, and I'm gonna get rolling, people. Anybody want to say anything? Go ahead. I'm gonna finish this coffee. And yeah, part of the reason you're missing my lives too is if you haven't clicked the bell, and sometimes they unclick the bell for you because they're trying to help you to be shadow banned from my channel. I highly recommend, people, that you not only make sure that you're subscribed, but click the bell, because YouTube has got me shadow banned. It's hard to find even some of the playlists I've looked for. So what I'm going to also do is, on a community thing, I'm going to put up links, maybe even to my next videos, of links to playlists that I've made public and I want people to watch, but they can't find them. I can't find them. And if I'm looking on somebody else's phone, I can't find them. It's like, it's my own channel. I'm like, what? Shadow banned. So welcome to the Grassy Knoll. We're all shadow banned here. So I'll put up some links, but the one link will be for, I believe I have another link for Kennedy videos that has been banned even from me. I can't see it. I need to connect a laptop and get into there without just using just a device on Wi-Fi and get in there. I need to get in there. I need to do some cleaning there in that area. So hope y'all have an awesome night. Just thought I'd drop this because I was trying to get proof. I was trying to get some intel on some things, and well, as it turns out, the library got COVID, or they think we do, or something. So for one reason or another, you got to have, you know, whatever kind of a permission ahead of time, 5 days. So if you're a trucker, I don't know how you're ever going to get to where you can be like, hey, I want to see the Library of Congress, and be 5 days ahead of time, know that you're going to be there, because we haul loads that are like here and there and everywhere. Even if you know, dropped your truck at the truck stop, got an Uber, checked it out, you can't get in there. So and then what if they say, well, you're not a researcher? I'm kind of a researcher. So I don't know what credentials you have to be a researcher. Do they expect you to, you know, have to have that as a job? I don't know. Don't know. So things are still on the COVID lockdown, I guess. Can't wait until they come out with the pumpkin spice COVID diesel. It's gonna burn good. Your truck will cough a little bit, and then it'll get better. That's how that works. People, y'all, I got to get out of here. I'm going to drop that link and watch those videos and listen to Lee Harvey Oswald actually talk more than just saying, I haven't been accused of anything or something like that. Yeah, you too. And you got to watch those. It's it's crazy. They put the man on the radio, you know, and 2 different days in a row, and then there's other stuff. And he had parties in Mexico with a couple of trampy looking people that matches the description of the tramps. So yeah, but you do what you can. There'll be a day I'll catch up with it and I won't be against a brick wall then, or grassy knoll. God bless you people. Y'all have an awesome night. I'm out. Peace.